Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another session where we would be talking about something called as Google Ads Lifecycle. When you talk to a lot of people about running Google Ads, a lot of them say that Google Ads is very simple because all you have to do is just find a bunch of keywords, put them in the campaign, and then after that Google Ads is pretty much self-sufficient. That's the most nonsensical statements that anybody can ever make. Because if it was that easy, everybody around us would be a millionaire and there would be no losses when you run Google Ads, which is not the case. If Google Ads are not set up properly, if you don't run your campaigns properly, if you don't analyze them properly, you're bound to take losses, and sometimes the losses can be pretty big if you neglect them. Examples are, you set up a Google Ads campaign, but you have stopped analyzing the data. You have not looked at the data. Your ads are showing, people are clicking, you're getting clicks. You're very happy, but at the end of the day, you're frustrated because sales are not coming in. Or people visiting your website, but they're just not buying anything. Now, if you don't look into the analysis, if you don't look at what's happening, if you don't look at what are people searching for, if you don't look at how many people are clicking your ad and how many people are dropping off your website, if you don't take any of these things into account, and if you just go strictly by evaluating the number of clicks that you have been receiving all the while, your ads are bound to fail, and that's a short strategy to fail. And I don't want you guys to fail. This is the topic of the discussion. Even when you look at this discussion, a lot of people will say, oh, this is the most silliest of the modules that I have seen. But if you don't look at this, if you don't understand the depth of this, you're in for trouble, guys. You have to remember the fact that Google Ads is not just about putting a bunch of things together and showing ads to people. It's about showing your ad in the right form to the right people at the right time for the right keyword at the right price. If you don't get any of these things right, you're in for losses. This life cycle not just tells you what is involved at each stage of running Google Ads, but it's also a reminder of what you should be doing for the campaigns that you're working for, whether they're your own campaigns or your clients' campaigns. And it just as a reminder that there are certain things that you need to do and what you need to focus upon. Where should you have your antennas up, and where should you be alert, and where should you just let it run, and things like that. There's also a big statement. There's also a big word of advice that I will give you once we're done with this session. So let's jump right in and see what I'm talking about. First things first, we have spoken about this a lot of times now. The first thing that you do if you want to promote your ads on Google is to create a Google Ads account. The first step that talks about in this image that you see here is creating a Google Ads account. Fine, I've created a Google Ads account. The second stage is, once you have created the account, it is inevitable that it goes without saying that you have to put something in the keyword. You have to put something in the account. You have to put your campaigns, you have to put your ad groups. Remember the account structure discussion we had. You need to have a clear-cut account structure. You need to put in well-thought, researched keywords, write good ads, etc. Now, if you create an account and if you put in campaigns and ad groups, do you think your ads will run? I'll give you a minute to think about it. But try to answer it yourselves and see what you come up with. Let me repeat that. If you create an AdWords account and if you have put in all the campaigns and keywords and whatever, all the campaign settings are in place, do you think your ads will run? I'm just giving you time to think. If your answer was yes, they will run, you're wrong. Ads will not run at this point in time because your account is not yet activated. Now, if you don't remember what we spoke about, there is a one-time activation fee that Google collects from all the advertisers, right? It can be 500 rupees in India, it can be $10 in the US, it can be 10 Australian dollars in Australia. It's very specific to the currency and the country that you are advertising from. Now, this advertising fees is what will be charged for Google to activate your account. It's a one-time fee. Now, every account that you create, every email ID that you use to create an account, every new account, you will be charged the activation fee. So it always makes sense to have one master account and create as many campaigns as you can, because you can go ahead and create about 10,000 campaigns. Now, once the account is activated, your ads are eligible to run, but they will not run yet because there is something called as ad approval. Now, how about this? Why do you think ads need to be approved? Because, Google is a genius, right? So why should my ads be manually approved by Google? Well, let me give you an example. Now, let's say I realize that there's a huge demand for liquor being delivered door to door, and I decided I need to start a website for that. So I started a website, I ran ads, and Google started showing my ads. If something goes wrong and people say I saw the ad on Google, so I have to be responsible as Google for showing anything and for showing anything on my website, right? Though these are all your websites, but you're showing on my platform, which is google.com. So all the ads that are being advertised, I need to make sure that it is in check, and I need to make sure that they are in alignment with my terms and conditions, my policies. So I need to approve them. So once Google ad, all right, let me change the spelling. I don't know if there is something misspelled. Ever since I was a kid, it just drives me nuts. So once the ads are approved, now that's when your ads are eligible to run, right? Now people will start seeing your ads. Now this is the fifth step, right? So you have created an ads account, you have created a campaign, etc., etc. Your account is activated. You have paid the one-time activation fee. Now your ads are also approved by Google. Now your ads will run. What do you think happens when ads run? Ads run means people are searching for your ads. So people are searching for your keywords, your ads are being shown to people. People will click on the ad, people will watch the ad, people will see the ad, they will come to your website. So along the way, what happens is data is being collected, right? Now, all the data that's being collected because your ads are running is very important data for you, because that's just like a scorecard when you were a student back in school that tells you how good you performed or how good you're performing, or what can be expected out of your current performance, right? So all the data that's collected about how many clicks I'm getting, how many impressions I'm getting, what is the average ratio that people are clicking my ads, what happens after they click on my ads, are people coming to my website, are they dropping off, all this data is being collected. Now once this data is collected, data is gold. Doesn't mean you save it. You have to analyze and get cracking on the data and come up with meaningful results, right? So once you start analyzing the data, once data is collected, you will start analyzing the data and you will start making meaningful decisions out of them. If you realize that your ad is getting a lot of clicks, but people are not buying anything, which means that your ad is right, maybe there is something wrong with your website. Or your ad is showing 10,000 times, but only 5 people are clicking on it. Maybe your keywords are good, but your ad text is not good because people don't find your ad attractive enough. So these are the things that you might infer from the data that you collected. So once the data that comes in, you analyze the data, then you make meaningful changes and implement those changes. So you change your landing page, you change your ads, you change your keyword, for example, whatever. Now, once that is done, a lot of people say Google Ads is easy because of this. People say Google Ads is easy because at this point in time they stop. Now, once you implement the changes, and your ads will start running again, right? Then your ads run. Now new data gets collected. Now you analyze the data. Now you make new decisions. Again, the ads run again. And this is a cyclic process. This is a never-ending process. And this is what AdWords specialists or digital marketers across different platforms do. It doesn't matter. It is not as simple as you saying, create your campaign once and then let it run for ages. It doesn't work that way. Because a lot of times what happens is when your ads are running, there are new competitors coming into the system. And Google Ads is very dynamic. If you search twice for the same keyword, there is no guarantee you will see the same results. It's that dynamic. If it's that dynamic, to retain and to sustain the competition and to get the same kind of performance that you have been getting, you need to keep things constantly in check. However, there is one disclaimer that I really want to make, because not doing this ruined a lot of people's advertising efforts, ruined a lot of people's marketing efforts. What is that? What you need to do is you need to give some breathing space to your campaigns. What do I mean by breathing space? Let me explain. Before that, let me give you a small example, a real life example. For example, I don't know how many people are single here, but let's assume that you have somebody, you're seeing somebody, you have a girlfriend. If you constantly are in check, and if you constantly keep asking your girlfriend, do you love me, do you love me, do you love me, you ask her let's say 5 times in an hour, and you call her at 3 a.m. in the morning and ask her, do you love me, what do you think is going to happen? Go on, think about it. What do you think has happened? Do you love me is the big question. So what happens when you ask your girlfriend, or wife for that matter, 100 times or like 5 times in an hour, constantly asking her, do you love me, do you love me? She or he is finally going to get fed up and say, no, it's done. I don't love you anymore, right? Because it's annoying. You're just suffocating on the other person. You're just not giving them the breathing space that they need. And not everybody is so expressive, right? They need time, etc., etc. So the same thing, the reason you may find this example to be very silly, but this perfectly sits well in our situation here. If you make some changes, right? Now let's say you implemented the changes here, right? Now if you implemented these changes, and if you don't let the new changes take effect, let it run for a week or 10 days, if you're constantly changing things every day, like today I added 5 keywords, I saw it until tomorrow, and then I didn't like it, I didn't see any performance happening, so I brought them down. So every day if you keep making these changes, your ads will never, ever, ever perform. The best way to do is make changes. Let's say you change something, give it 7 days minimum, right? But don't use this as an excuse and don't sit idle not doing anything for a month. That's the wrong thing. So 7 to 14 days is ideal for any changes that you make for that to take effect. Now once that is done, then if it's not working, change it. Then if it's working, leave it, right? Now new changes that you make, always make sure you give it 7 to 14 days time for it to perform. That's about your ads lifecycle. Now I also wanted to talk to you about something called as the ad approval process that Google follows, right? Now why do you think Google follows ad approvals process? I told you, what if somebody is trying to kidnap children on Google and somebody says kidnap children on Google and there's an ad showing up? Whose responsibility is that? Now Google's responsibility, right? So Google is going to face a lot of trouble if something like that happens. So to avoid that, Google wants to be in check of what's happening, and Google makes sure nothing that is not approved either by Google standards or by the societal standards, Google will take an action on that. So that's one reason you will have something called as ad approvals. Ad approval simply means that any ad that you create or edit, it's not just creating, any ad that you create or edit will go again for approval. Google approves these ads and then make a decision whether to let it pass or not. Any ad that shows on Google means that it has been approved by Google. Google has a set of policies that it rolled out, and it is very, very, very specific about that. No tobacco is no tobacco for Google. You can never see an ad for selling cigarettes or tobacco online. Cigars may be an exception, but tobacco is a strict no-no. At least it was like that when I was in Google. You cannot sell hard alcohol via ads on Google. You can't sell guns online. You can't sell drugs online. You can't sell, let's say, you can't promote abortion online. So these are some policies that Google is very specific about, and your ads should be in line with them. If you want to stay in my house, follow my rules, right? Then, when ads are disapproved, it doesn't mean that you are lost forever and Google will never let you advertise again. It will give you chances to go ahead and resubmit the ad. But they're very smart. Don't even think about trying to cheat them, because you can't go long, right? Now, if I have to put it in an image format, it's like this. So the advertiser creates the ad, which goes for approval. When I say it goes for approval, it's automatically done. You create an ad in your account, which means it's automatically under the Google surveillance and it's automatically being approved. There is something called as auto approvals, because there are millions of advertisers online. There are billions of searches happening each day. I don't think Google will have the time to employ so many people to look at each ad manually. They have super efficient, super intelligent systems which will review these things automatically. If it works, if it's fine, they will approve it. Otherwise, they will disapprove it. Then you have to go ahead and resubmit for approval again after making those changes. So this is how a typical ad approval process works when you advertise on Google, when you create an ad on Google. Along with that, don't forget, Google Ads is not easy. It's very straightforward, but it's not easy. You have to be following this life cycle as long as you want to see results. Thank you so much. My name is Casey, your coach, and I hope you appreciate the session. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for being a part of Titans University. Until next time, this is Casey signing off. Ciao.